Hold on, Tizzy just dropped a video. This the this the guy that
Before we even get into the
that has some takes on Black Clover. Tizzy, what do you have to say about My Hero Academia?
main topic of this video, I just want to preface, this is not a hate video. I am not hating on My Hero Academia
He's
in
hating
this
on
video.
My Hero. That's what he's
I
doing.
absolutely adore this.
What in the world, YouTube?
I'm not hating on My Hero Academia in this video. I absolutely adore this series and everything about it. So please do not click on this video thinking this is a video about me hating on My Hero Academia, because it is not. What this video really is me criticizing the My Hero Academia anime and talking about how badly the adaptation of the anime is compared to the manga, because recently it's become very noticeable. The manga versus the anime is completely night and day. The whole adaptation is being fumbled right now. So the season 7 trailer of My Hero Academia came out recently, and a lot of people have come out to just say that the quality of the series' adaptation has completely fallen off in comparison to what it used to be. Seasons 1 through 4 of My Hero Academia were absolute perfection.
But if it's good,
it was everything you can ask for an anime adaptation to do. It brought the manga into life. In fact, I would go as far as to say that seasons 1 through 4 of the My Hero Academia anime were executed better than the manga was. Especially season 2 with the My Hero Academia Sports Festival. I just have to say that that is one of the greatest arcs I have ever watched. Now,
Kizzy, come on. Hey, I'm going to talk to you. Let me talk to you real quick, Kizzy. If you come across this video, I need you to go watch some Naruto. I need you to go watch something that's not My Hero. Because if you think My Hero Sports Festival is one of the best arcs you've ever seen, we need to get you in the gym, bro. We need to get you watching something else. Because there is no planet on this universe where this is a true statement. I don't care if it's your opinion. This is just a bottom of the barrel opinion. Tizzy, we gotta do better. We gotta do better than that.
Now, I may be saying that because of the nostalgia, but that arc,
boy, nostalgia don't even
so
do this justice.
Especially all of the build up from fight to fight. I'm just a massive tournament guy. I love tournament arcs in anime, and My Hero Academia had one of the best, I feel like. And
you're hurting me, Tizzy. How are you a tournament guy? And there's tournaments like the tuning exams, and you think this is better than the tuning exams? Come on, Tizzy. We can't be serious.
The build up to the fight between Todoroki versus Deku was absolutely worth it, because this was such a phenomenal fight that went down in anime history as one of the best fights of all time.
Tizzy, you're trolling right now. You're trolling. You gotta be trolling. You did not just say. Well, let me hear it one more time. I gotta be hearing things.
It was absolutely worth it, because this was such a phenomenal fight that went down in anime history as one of the best fights of all time that we've seen adapted onto the big screen.
Does anybody agree with that statement? Is there a single person that thinks that that was one of the greatest fights to ever be adapted? There is no person on this universe, except for you, Tizzy, that probably agrees with that statement. I don't know who you're trying to make a video for, but no one with a brain is agreeing with that, bruh.
My Hero Academia Season 3 was just as good, especially with the All for One versus All Might fight. It had all of us practically rooting for All Might as if we were in the verse watching him fight. All the emotions, everything was just there. The music, the animation, the choreography, everything was perfect in those first seasons. I would say even season 4 of the My Hero Academia anime was better than the manga, especially with that crazy Deku versus Overhaul fight. Again, another banger fight, season after season after season. Everything was going perfect for this series. However, I feel like things kind of took a turn during season 5, because That's when I started seeing more and more people come out and talk about their disappointment with the My Hero Academia anime, whereas before I've never heard anyone complain about the series' adaptation. Now, season 5 was practically set up to fail for multiple reasons. For one, it was starting out with probably the most boring arc in the entire story, which was the joint training arc between Class 1A and Class 1B. There was really only one single interesting matchup during that entire arc, and that was the matchup where we got to see Deku's Black Whip in action. Other than that, all the matchups were really boring. They didn't progress the story in any single way. It was kind of a way for us to just see the skill set of all the different characters. But what sucks is that we didn't even like see that skill set later on from the Class 1B characters. It really wasn't that important of an arc. It wasn't that interesting, besides the fact that we got to learn a lot more about Deku's One For All. The second reason why this season was doomed to fail was because during the airing of this season, the My Hero Academia movie was also coming out. And for some reason, because of this, the studio behind the My Hero Academia anime decided to completely rearrange the order of the arcs. So we were supposed to get the Meta Liberation Army arc next, but instead we got the training arc between Deku, Todoroki, Bakugo, and Endeavor. And the Endeavor Agency arc is another very slow arc in My Hero Academia because it focuses a lot more on Deku, Bakugo, Todoroki, and Endeavor as...
But I mean, our normal slow arcs the reason why it has bad adaptation? Are these arcs are they badly adapted? Is my question, because I don't read the My Hero Academia manga, so only someone who has read it can answer that question. Are these arcs badly adapted into the anime?
Characters,
or are they just slow? Or are they just bad?
And I'm not saying that character development is a bad thing. I absolutely love arcs that focus on character development. It's just when you have a boring arc like the joint training arc, the best thing to do is for the next arc to be action-packed, so it balances out with one another. It doesn't really work when you have a slow arc followed by another slow arc. That's the best way to kill somebody's interest in a series. Anyways, by the end of season 5, we finally reached the Meta Liberation arc of My Hero Academia, and here's where we notice the biggest problem My Hero Academia now faces: setting the tone. The Meta Liberation arc up until this point was meant to be the darkest arc in the entire series, completely focusing on the villains and no one else. If you have an arc that is meant to be dark and focus completely on the villains, the best thing you can do is set the tone, and this arc did not do that in the anime at all. Like, this whole Meta Liberation Army arc took place in the middle of the day with a bright blue sky and the brightest, most vibrant colors I have ever seen in an anime arc.
Bro, you're not gonna tell me that the color palette is what sold this. No. You're not gonna tell me because the sun was out is the reason why this was bad. No. It was just terrible. I don't care if the sun was out. I don't care what time it was outside. It was just terrible. It has nothing to do with the color palette. I don't give a fuck about no color palette. Was it a good story? Absolutely not. Were the fights interesting? Absolutely not.
That is not how you set a tone to an arc that is dedicated about villains.
Isn't this a guy from TikTok?
Arc, we're learning more about each villain in the series. We're learning more about the Meta Liberation Army. We're learning more about our own main villains, especially Shigaraki, who has one of the darkest backstories in the entire series. So despite us being exposed to a very dark part of the story and this dark element of My Hero Academia, the lighting and the colors that they chose makes me feel like I'm watching a kid's cartoon where they're about to break into a dance and start singing to one another. And before people start going into the comments and start saying that, oh, in the manga the battle takes place during the day. Okay, cool. Personally, I would have preferred if they just changed it to nighttime. I feel like...
Bro, this is the worst point I ever heard in my life, bro. Instead of saying that it was just bad, you have a layup here, Tizzy. All you have to do is say that Shigaraki versus Redistro was just a bad fight. It just wasn't a good fight. It was hyped up to be something that it just wasn't. and it was a disappointment. That's all you have to say. But now you're coming at me telling me it's about a goddamn color palette. No one cares about the goddamn color palette, bro. How good was the fight? That's what matters. It was built up for this one fight, and it was garbage.
That would have been way better. But even if it was taking place during the day, you have ways to make the daytime seem a lot more gray and a lot darker than it actually is. It's called light. There's plenty of animes out there where it's daytime, but it still has that dark tone to it. It's not completely day. Like, the colors are more drained, if you guys know what I'm talking about here. And unfortunately, this vibrant color scheme has stuck around to curse the entirety of My Hero Academia Season 6. Just like the Meta Liberation arc, the first war arc in the My Hero Academia anime follows the exact same vibrant color scheme. This is a war arc. You have people dying and fighting for their lives right now. And again, it just seems like a really happy tone when that's not the case at all. But not only is the tone not there, the animation quality also completely falls off in Season 6 of My Hero Academia. Especially with the biggest fight in the entire series, that being Deku versus Shigaraki. I'm sorry, but the animation quality of that fight was simply not good. I remember watching it when it first aired and being like, wow, they really fumbled with this fight. This fight was Deku versus Shigaraki, the main character versus the main villain. It's crazy that out of all of the fights, they fumbled that one. Thankfully, the tone of the series changed for Deku's Vigilante arc, and for a few episodes, we had that dark, rainy atmosphere to reflect Deku's character. But one thing I found really weird is at the start of Deku's Vigilante arc, in the opening, they had a really good shot of Deku standing on top of a building with rain, buildings being destroyed around him. It was a really good shot from the manga reflecting Deku's change. However, in the actual anime, they change it back to this vibrant blue sky, and I get it, it's more accurate to the manga, but why change it in the opening if you had so many fans that were praising the change and talking about how much better this change was compared to this blue sky? And once again, the fact that it was so vibrant.
Hey, normally, look, I want to tear down My Hero Academia as much as anybody else in the universe. I mean, we're supposed to be here to criticize the show. That's what you said, Tizzy. I feel like this is just awful critiquage. This is that critique. This is those critiques that aren't needed. These are the critiques that I swear we just get on the internet just to make. This is an unneeded critique. I mean, maybe if you were talking about like the pacing of the stories, like maybe the tone and the characters, maybe something else, but we're talking about goddamn color palette. Are we talking about the color palette when there are things that are 10 times worse? It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, this is what you decided to make this video about, the color palette. Like, I don't understand this one for the life of me, Tizzy.
Is the problem. You can have a blue sky. That is not the problem at all. I hope you guys understand. It's just if the story is going to start to get dark, maybe drain the colors a little bit to reflect that. So season 5 was like the slight decline in quality. Meanwhile, season 6 was the absolute fumble with the My Hero War arc being a complete disaster in the anime with no tone, and the animation quality completely falling off for the war arc as well. The season 7 trailer came out a few days ago, and again, the tone is completely messed up once again for the arc. It's vibrant colors, bright blue sky, and this is the most important arc in the entire story. This is the arc where characters are once again fighting for their lives and fighting to determine the fate of the entire world. Yet again, it doesn't feel like that at all. It just feels so empty. And not only is the...
You know what it feels like, Tizzy? It feels like there's no stakes in the show. That's what it feels like. I don't think the color of the sky impacts the stakes of the show. That's how the show was built up. It's just they fumbled how they built this show up. The first 2-3 seasons they did it correctly, but when we wanted to switch the mood of the show, they just did not make the stakes high enough. Like, You know, and maybe I know the manga's like considered way better, but I feel like it's a manga thing too. I hear a lot of people say the same thing about the manga and about the war arc in the manga. I don't think it's an anime problem. I think it's just a more of a story problem than it is anime problem.
Tone a problem. But another big problem that the My Hero Academia anime has is it fails to capture Hirokoshi's art in the series. Now, this may be an
Okay,
impossible
that's a good
task
point.
to do because Hirokoshi's art is something else. This guy is one of the
That's a
best
good
manga
point.
artists of all time. Yes, of all time. If you guys look at his art in the My Hero Academia manga, you would agree.
Yeah, the
The
animation
detail
for
of
sure.
it is absolutely insane, and he, as an artist, is on a different level. And unfortunately, the anime just fails to capture that same art style, the same
Yeah, that's
level
true.
of detail.
That's
And
a good point.
Again, I understand that animation is a lot harder than drawing still images. But we have anime adaptations out there that are successfully able to capture the entire manga's essence in its anime, and they're able to even improve on it. My Hero Academia has also done this. I fully, again, believe that the first 4 seasons of the My Hero Academia anime were better than the My Hero Academia manga. It's just after season 4, they weren't able to capture that same level of detail again. And what finally got me to talk about this issue is the latest shot that was released from season 7 of My Hero Academia. It's the shot where Todoroki and Dabi are facing off with the All Might statue in the back saying heroes must die. The shot in the anime is absolutely atrocious in comparison to the shot in the manga. In comparison to the shot in the
Oh, yeah,
manga, there's
that's
first off absolutely
that's night and
no
day. That's literally night and day difference. Like, what? Hey, they better redraw that bitch when it comes out. They better get in the lab, because if the episode look like that, hey, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
intensity behind the shot in the anime. Like, you can practically feel the aura oozing out of Dabi and Todoroki within the manga. Meanwhile, in the anime's image, there is absolutely no tension between the two. There is no aura or anything of the sort. My second big issue with the shot in the anime is how small the All Might statue is in the background. That is supposed to be an imposing piece in the manga's shot. Because, again, this is a battle to determine the fate of the world. And to have that All Might statue in the back is a reflection of what's going on right now. And it reflects well between what's going on between Todoroki and Dabi. So to see that statue cast aside in the background like it's nothing is such an unfortunate thing to see. Now,
Yeah,
some of you may
viewpoint is
say that I'm
horrible.
nitpicking about this.
No,
Oh, it's just
no, you're not nitpicking it about that. That's actually a good point. Your last 2 points have been good. The color palette one, I feel like that was a little bit nitpicky, but the last 2 points have been good.
a blue sky. What are you talking about? Or it's just colors, or it's just one shot. But all these things piled up make a big problem. Tone affects a series a lot.
It does, but I feel like you when you address tone, you missed the mark. You could have addressed a lot of different things with the tone of the anime, but you just addressed the blue sky, and there was a lot of other things that you could have said, and I feel like that's what made me not like that point. If you would have talked about other things with the tone, I feel like you probably would have had more of a good point there.
How do you expect fans to build some sort of emotional connection to a series if the tone is completely off at all times?
Yeah, that's
the
true.
My Hero Academia anime just fails to do the manga justice on so many levels, and it is so unfortunate to see, because imagine if My Hero Academia got the same treatment as Jujutsu Kaisen's anime did, or even as Demon Slayer's. It would easily be the most talked about manga out right now, because the story is so good and it has so many great characters and so many great fight scenes. And the anime adaptation isn't bad.
Come on, bro. Look, I'm not saying that My Hero Academia manga is not good. I'm not saying that. But if it was as good as you were saying, we like the manga would be goddamn critically acclaimed, buddy. Nah, that's all I'm saying. I feel like you're hyping up the manga just a little bit too much right there. The story, from what I heard, is not that crazy, man.
It's just painfully mediocre, and the fact that it's mediocre is the reason why the My Hero Academia series is not talked about that much anymore. And it's why so many other new series like Jujutsu Kaisen and Demon Slayer overshadow My Hero Academia by such a large amount. This is what happens when a series is just average and it has to compete against other series that are definitely not average. Anytime somebody criticizes the My Hero Academia anime, I always see a swarm of people being like, oh, just be grateful for the series. Okay, if we're always grateful for mediocre quality, what do you think
Yeah, I don't know who's saying that, bro. No, don't ever say that. That's just goofy.
is going to happen? You think the quality is one day going to go up magically? No, the studio is going to be like, okay, people aren't complaining about it. We'll keep the quality mediocre. We want better quality as fans. We want the manga to be perfectly captured within the anime. And we're not going to get that for being grateful for the mediocrity that we've been receiving these past seasons. Overall, we haven't seen much of season 7 yet, so I'm not going to be insanely quick to judge. But from what we have seen, it's not looking good. It looks like it's just going to be another repeat of season 6 of My Hero Academia. And it's so unfortunate to see because My Hero Academia is such an amazing series. The manga is so good. I just wish we got a better anime adaptation. Anyways, with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and make...
Hey, I mean, oh, look, it's tough beans. Look, it's tough beans, man. It's tough beans. You know, there's a lot of anime that get there's a lot of anime that get sold by their adaptation. Tokyo Ghoul being one of them. The list goes on and on. It's just My Hero Academia has just been one of those animes. So you like the video? You'll like this one too. Go ahead and click on that. Yeah. You're still here? So you don't fuck with me? Alright, I'ma just.